Chodan sogi chodan lai, Janchu baru dani yasu jilai, Dagi chanin gipe sonam bia, Drola penshi sandi ruha sho. Chodan sogi chodan lai, Janchu baru dani yasu jilai, Dagi chanin gipe sonam bia, Drola penshi sandi ruha sho. Chodan sogi chodan lai, Janchu baru dani yasu jilai, Dagi chanin gipe sonam bia, Drola penshi sandi ruha sho.
Everybody, good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, very big snow out here. You have to, this morning, big shower. Anyway, I'm very happy to meet some new friends. How many people before came to here? Was it? Before not come here. Are you first? Hi. Oh, good. Anyway, I'm very happy with you, my friends. 근데 이자다 남조 그래 다 미치라야 다 감가래 다 지울 거고 그래서 무슨 지우시.
And so, all of us, we want to have happiness in our life. We want all to be happy, right?
Right. 답변아, 남조대. 지금 정말지 다 싱그러워 야무지.
So, most of you all know this, right? His one is the Dalai Lama.
His smile, right?
He's very happy. Very happy.
But his smile is, the deep, got simply
His smile is from the depth of his heart.
Our smile that something not just 나도 다지 담선 게뭐 쇼쇼데 나다 근데 샘띵이 샘띵이 다 게무셔야 돼. 다 유일로 올라왔어.
So we do love sometimes, but very few of us will love really from the depth of our heart, right?
근데 바인다 지 다시 시당도 시와이나 다 나도 zambil이야 다 출루담을 먹고 여래서
So in general, there are many different types of religions in this world.
아니 출루 켈행해요 먹어요. 켈행해요 먹어요. 그래서
And there are also many who believes in religions, and also many who don't believe in religions.
간제 맞이 출루 켈행해 두고 지 출루 딱 켈렘바라 때네 다 지금 수수 몇세 되는 양보지 영화기 기보지 영화기 다 답신으로 책이요 그래서
And those who believe in religions, they search different means through the religion to have happiness in their life.
근데 예상 남도 지금 그때 바이나 지금 다 줄로 켈랭에서 다 줄로 간가라 다 기접자한테 개접하시라 그래서
And so therefore, those of us who believe in religions, it's very important for all of us to respect all other religions.
근데 줄로 가래기 짓은 나온다 만장사디 다 수수가 내 말이죠.
And it's up to oneself to choose which religions to follow or not follow.
아니 줄로도서 마 제가 찍다 나도 남자 찍바로 다 정도 그래서 watch 그지 다 나서 대화 용하게 탑신하고 싶다 납득해서.
So most of the religions advise or teach us a similar thing, the means to achieve happiness.
그러나다 이시라고 했나? 아니 자 이시 마시가 까던가 와이나? 다 제가 동안양가 레스마도 갖고 이래서 다시 들으라고 이사래서.
And like for instance in Christianity, they say that if you go against the teachings or advices of Christ, then you will suffer.
아니 맞아 남바로 이바나 아니 지난기 레전드 야보 마소나 아니 지난나 약간 이용을 해서 달라고 그래서.
And in Buddhism, we say if you don't observe the karmic law of cause and effect properly, then you will suffer.
관심 맞이다 니가 고시하다 말아 버리면서 저저 다 나서 다 샘티니지 다 게모쇼가야기 생각지고 요하고 답시노 그래서.
And so they both are teaching in different ways, but teaching the same thing, a method for us to be able to laugh from the depth of our heart.
근데 인자치 다시 봐도 다 줄만 보여다 게 줄다 지금 남자 시기에다나 관심 맞이 다 말한 그런거는 시당가 남바 이렇게 됐다 줄 간발 기집이 여서로.
And so just like that, I'm sure there are similar teachings in other religions which I am not aware of, which I don't have knowledge about. But I myself is a Buddhist and I respect all of these religions.
근데 이 바다다 나도 줄을 캔랭에 다 만약에 인가지 다 내가 내 바다 다 누가 먼저 봐 칭송을 해서.
And whether we believe in religions or not, we're all same in wanting happiness and not wanting any sufferings.
아 지금 대면 많이 그치 다 삼천 돈으로 다 나도 나베고 다 육시자로 시작하나 다 지금 소화 대두고 냐 용이가 생치까지 그래서 다 나도 믿어 직바직자로 해서 다 내가 내 바다 누가 먼저 봐 직바직자로 해서라고 그래서.
So apart from the human beings, also the animals, even the tiniest insect, any kind of being who has a feeling, to be able to feel happiness, suffering, they will all want to have happiness and not want to suffer.
근데 이제 다 차상치 대왕 될 바다 누가 먼저 봐 춘춘 임바 있나요? 말아서 미기 남주지 셔럽 배제 땅이지 내바다 누가 들어야게 탑시만 보이 다 소식이 그래.
So even though we are all same, human beings, animals, and so forth, are same in wanting happiness and not wanting any sufferings, but the human beings, who have a better wisdom or intelligence, which they can use, to achieve happiness more than the other beings.
대치다 나서 남배가 계절로 깨말다 식당 다 노탄데 들어와서.
So it's not only about Buddhism, it is how it is in general.
나서 미디 딱 들로에 제반로 가르파고서나 다 사모다다 본다고 와서.
So in what way human beings are better than animals, is because human beings have more capabilities of thinking.
네, 말해서 지금 시찬에 지금 다 라바로 지금 칼라사야당 지금 다 소주고 좋아야다 지금 잠 맞아야 지금 탑시로 지금 다 심지어 들어서 소소 지금 세신이 그래서 와.
So just being able to find the food so that you will not have to be hungry for a long time and so forth, even the animals can do that.
그래서 땅에서 미세하게 다 등도에 채바다 파와에서 다 델리 채바다 파에 내가지고 지어버려요.
And since we as a human being are better than the animals, so we should do better things than the animals.
다 지하대 가르쳐서 나다 그래서 나베 세단으로 있잖아. 다 수수고 남쪽에 셔럽대 배제하고 땅을 해서 그래서 와.
And so what we have to do, is according to Buddhism, we should utilize our wisdom.
내가 남수절에 딱 남쪽에 셔럽 딱 마무 쉬어야 돼. 딱 나가서 지금 딱 셔럽 뒤띠라 다 지금 나도 컴퓨터로 딱 클릭하고 저기 매버리면서 셔럽 뭐야 나도 카 다시 채워야 돼.
So there are many wisdoms and intelligence wisdoms that we have. It's just like we are not able to activate or use those wisdoms.
Maybe one day we have to update all the wisdoms. 와. 근데 봐야지 지. 나 나랑 소치. 대화당. 단 도야기 지다. 십대당. 메대가 강에서 해야 돼. 다지 샘바테지. 그래. 요왔당 시도 마시도 썸바당 시마시 거네 또 연구를 해서.
And so, so the happiness and the suffering that we experience, we go through, comes just from being able to think in the right way or not.
와. 배차로 오셔봐야 나스. 다 망하셔가지고 강에 대. 다 나로 수제라 지다 나 세진가 그리잖아. 다 지샤대도 다 되게 지그래서 와.
And so the most of the sufferings that we experience usually comes from our own self-cherishing attitude, thinking about oneself most of the time.
근데 자치 다 남벌이라 시대지 그거 요이나 다 고로 관계 남벌이 시대 고로서 간 고로라고 그러와서.
And so if we want to have peace in the world, so if we ask everybody, everybody will say we want to have peace in the world, right?
시원 남벌이라 시대 용어나 다 담보 기수수 문이 다 시대 고로에서 와.
So in order to bring peace in the world, first you have to bring peace within yourself.
수수문이 시대세대 빼빼나 담보 미상식. 근데 지금 시지도 근데 나대 근데 자급 근데 다 넘리 바자면 로로스.
So the peace, first you have to bring within yourself, in your home, in your city, in your state, and then in your country, and then you can spread that way to the whole world.
근데 다 들이 시대 용 맞중이기 딱 고가는 게 수르스나. 조조대 다 남주제다 그디나 나서직 소소치. 술 따고 자고시다. 이젠세지 딱 바쁘게 당하지도 와서. 대바래서.
And so what doesn't allow us to bring this peace within ourselves or in the world is that grasping at the I. So there's this mind which thinks, this is me, and you keep that, and then you say this is others, and you push it away. So that mind is the one.
그 끈에 나니 아니 공로세야 차도세야 말제세야 다 되는 재미다 너무 뭐시 다 야랑 그래서
So motivated by that mind, and then there comes all other afflictive emotions, such as anger, delusions, anger, attachment, ignorance, jealousy, pride, and so forth.
뭐 남중가도 선로샷 당겨 공로세야 돼 말제세야 돼 가와는 내가 간지된 것도 가지고 당겨 말아봤어 당겨요.
So we normally don't think how these angers arise in our mind, right? Where do they come from? We don't really think, right?
말젠다고 해봐야나 공로라고 해나 남중 가서 선로 당하지는 가서 쪼고요 저라고 지금도 선로 당겨요 그래서 공로도 산이 딱 소소 잘 빠지 돈에 체네 딱 소소 종의 입에서 선로 당겨요 그래서.
And so when we think about the anger, we think the anger as a protection. We think if we get angry, then we'll be protected. It's like we are retaliating to our enemy, our opponent, and then that way we are kind of protected from them.
So anybody think angry protect us?
Yeah.
When angry come up, they try to stop the enemies, right? 근데 이 바다다 저도 쌈나 공로 되고 다 수수 잡아 대마 그냥 토그도 토그 말해서 하면 되고.
So what do you think? By getting angry, will you be able to suppress your enemies or not?
배나 배다 루마델의 방법도 배나 정보 정보나 사상 못 가져는 것도 와서.
So, for example, the thing that happens a lot in this country, like many relationships break, right? The girlfriends, boyfriends, husband, wife, and they break up.
당보 시제 자와 대 용거야 돼 나에서 대 휴지보다 되게 용거를 해서 다고 마찬가지 걸어왔어.
So again, why that happens is because of the self-cherishing mind, and that's the root.
되게 부자다니 control says, Naja says, Tato says, Kuzoya, then will pass down the rest of
And read about that, then there comes the anger, jealousy, pride, which are pushed by this self-cherishing attitude.
이제 이번 다 빼려오셔가지나 control 따고는 용네 다 수수지 년년지 조종으로 오셔 카트들한테 다 control하는 가서 카트로 왔어.
And so because we're angry and then fight and then we break up. So the breaking up comes because of the anger, right?
What do you think? Do you think this is true or not?
No, can be.
Do you think we call? 그래다 관심하지. control 되게 control 사와라 때네. 아니 수수 쪽보다 파타리 로도 왔어.
And so by getting angry with each other, one becomes distant from each other, right?
다 시작이다. 야 삼스미한테 많이 봐용 시그레스. 다 식당으로 올라가서.
So that's we're talking that in general, but there can be some particular instances where that doesn't apply.
이제 control 해야 되는 건 솔직히 다 조금도 만족 지금 다 가르쳐. 만족을 내지게 되잖아.
So what do you think now? Anger, does it protect us or does it ruin us?
그러나 조건이요, 예와이나 직파 쭉지나 control사네. 아니 거기 다 다른 로서 왔어.
So, for example, if they are very good close friends, because of getting angry with each other, then they become far or distant from each other, right?
control사네 좀 협의하더라 요래서.
Is there an instant where somebody become closer by becoming angry?
Can you find? 그러나 자금으로 보이면다. 자금 찍찍라 control사지. 다 찍찍 올라 내니지. 다 그래 갑자기 쇼질라 찍다 니슈체는 매와치니 만네 내기지니 다 고마타 라타차네 찍 고트 용거야 가지. 너네 찍 control 찍. 다 니오차 누워서.
So anger kind of dominates the other person, right? So you suppress, you torture or torment the other person to become or to come under you. So that's how the anger works. Otherwise, if somebody is angry with each other, they will not come close to each other happily, willingly.
배라고 생각이나 당가도 배관으로 보이나 다 재미고래요. 그래서
So, for example, in the case of Tibetans who are under the Chinese rule,
다 배워간가 재미다 재미 공부다 다 그래. 슈나 코로 사대 그래서 이나 그 월 마데라데 그래서
so Tibetans are very angry, with the communist rulings, but they have no choice but to be under them.
다 곤냠도 돼야 돼. 다고 재미가 또 슈고만 내네. 다 마데라데로 쳐버려. 다 뭐니 치고 가네 야네. 다님도 되고 말어 왔어.
And so, living with them, is not it's because they are controlled, they are suppressed by this power and then control. Otherwise, they are not like living there with them, living in one place, with the communist ruling, happily or willingly.
다 시절 된지 봐서 다 공로해야 되는 것도 그디나. 다 시대적으로 왔어.
And so that's in general. So the anger never gives us any happiness or peace.
그래서 공로가 다 잠불을 시대적으로 대주는 거 하고 왔어.
And so the anger doesn't give peace in the world that we know, right?
다 변한 것도 지금 내가 지금 속바진 거지. 속바지 그나라야. 이메네요. 공로기 속바지 들으로 지금 왔어. 지금 그래서.
And same in like a society or group, does the anger bring them together, or work peacefully with each other?
이제 이봐도 다 대용 말아 왔어. 공부도 안 하고 다 뛰면서 하고 걸어왔다. 좀 그때 내가 제대로 왔어.
So many of you do work in the society or in the group, right? So does it help you to bring your workers, co-workers together?
다 대수지. 다 남이라고 사셔지. 야 남이 빠와봐 니치야. 보니 수명하지. 대나라 콘도 사고시요 얘나. 보고에 봐라. 아무나 봐봐. 아무나 아마치 콘도 잡아지나? 남이 그런지 칼라이 사나 심으면 잘하는 거 같아.
So let's bring down to a family. A family, let's say there's a father, mother, and 3 kids. So, so if one of them are very angry, either father or mother, then there's never peace in their house. Right? So even when they're eating, there's no peace.
If you're not keep just father and mother, okay? If either one may be very short temperature.
Temper.
Short temper. Then if you eat together, not very comfortable, right?
So who does that? That's the anger, right? So if we don't think about it, then we normally think that anger is a good thing and kind of protects us.
추바이면 깨자 말이야. 나주 켈레 멜레도 두 깨자 말이야. 쳇방이 시기치 위에 내서 그래. 다. 이부 내서 거라 맞지. 내시제 참아다 두스다 라고에서 와.
So this is in general, nothing to do whether you believe in the religions or not. So this is just a general thing that applies to our life.
근데 이마다 매 코로 잡으지 와이나. 이 코랑 로바도 띄우면 왔다 이해와. 코랑에 띄워요 말이죠.
So not only brings the unhappiness among the others, but also he himself is not happy.
If you're very angry, if you eat, there's no trust. If you sleep, you cannot sleep. You lay down, then move, think. Then you go back to see some outside the window. Because you're very strong, angry, you cannot sleep. 그래서 딱 가서 컨트롤 세트가 시래가 야포메가 가서 딱 하고도 왔어.
And so now you understand that the function of the anger is not good, right?
근데 이 말에서 딱 가서 컨트롤 예민을 따고 그랬어. 컨트롤 예민을 파스로 따네. 딱 컨트롤도 많이 따고 그래서.
So therefore, we have to think about the disadvantages of the anger, and by thinking about that, then we will be able to kind of reduce the anger.
그래서 컴퓨터로 해놔야 지금 윈도우 찍고치 찍고 맞잡 찍고치 찍고 빠져치 하러 왔어. 아주 샘 세대 딱 근데 내려오더니 말이야.
So it's not like a computer. There are many windows you can open in a computer, right? So you can just click it open, click it close. It's not the mind is not like that. It's not that easy to open or close.
We have a lot of windows in mind, but not same. I don't know the computer. Do that, but
Not same as computer.
Yeah, computer make it easy. Just begin. What's it? Click once and one open. 근데 이제 딱 아주 생기 다 담아놓고 바꿔가야 돼. 다 브라이스 바꿔가야 돼. 다 공조다, 말결다, 차가도다. 다 등소리 해서 와.
And so what we have to stop, what kind of mind that we have to stop are the anger, jealousy, ignorance, and so forth.
Everybody put on computer the protector. What's that? Protector for wires, right?
Yeah.
Therefore, we need to put our mind protector for ignorance. Okay?
Antivirus.
Yeah. 근데 이제 다 된지 그 와이스 까야 돼 가지고 와이스 코랑기 딱 껴는 상담을 해서 와.
And so to protect your mind from those kind of viruses, you have to think about the faults, the disadvantages of those viruses.
내지 직 잘라 신바지 대전 고 가셔야 돼. 지금 윈도우 사와지 대 다운로드는 거 같아요. 말해서 와.
So other than that, there's no way you can protect your mind from these kind of viruses just by placing something in between, something that cannot stop it, or just opening some other window, you can't stop it also.
근데 이제 다 공도 사고지 해와 있나? 밑에 신 텐jen당 지 나가 다 가래 다 실로 지금 다 배조래 지금 내가래 가르치 가세 찬도 보여야 돼요 다 밑에 가디나 그 지워요 말해서 그서오지나.
So a person with strong anger will never be happy, even if he has all the external material facilities like a lot of wealth and money and so forth. So even if he has all these things, he will not be happy.
배나 남주 문제가 강계라 양식 생각 강계다 리그 강이 이어서 봐. 리그 강계대 실로고 직다 변조당 또 두고 또 세도 그랬어. 난게 생각 강계대 sem 코라기 주다고 다 실로 제도 말해서.
So we have two kinds of sufferings, like you can say a mental suffering and a physical suffering. The physical sufferings maybe can be eradicated by external money and external things like money and so forth. But the internal, the mental suffering can only be eradicated by the mental solution.
다 나도 고야데 가래. 샹바세지, 제와세지도 다 드는 셈도 고요 그래서 봐.
And so what kind of mind or what type of mind that really works to bring peace in our mind are the positive minds like love, affectionate love, compassion, and so forth.
뭐 든지게 셈데 코로 되게 든지 셈도 좀 매와치 코도 고 막내는 다 영감 고발 좀 말해서 봐.
And so these kind of minds, the love, compassion, and so forth, will suppress that mind of anger and will not let it blaze too much.
그래서 지금 코로 되게 다 샹바세야 가지 이제서야 제와세야 들고 다 나와도 촉사야까지 컨트롤 같이 주고 말해서.
And so, but when you are really strong and angry, you cannot have those positive minds like loving kindness, compassion, and so forth. So it kind of the anger is more dominating mind and doesn't allow those other minds like love and compassion to work.
근데자 지금 다 지금 아주 샹바세 이제서야 제외 심사도 지 야제도가 공로세야 차도세도 다 매가서야 다 답시 다 선로 갔다 그래서 또 지금
And so we need to develop those positive minds like love, compassion, affectionate, and so forth. And then we have to eradicate the bad minds like the anger, jealousy, pride, and so forth. So now we have to think about a solution. What can we do to bring up those good minds and bring down those bad minds?
근데 먼저 미 좀내 지금 다 공로 마용 와쇼 다 샹바든지 제가 제와셔서 무슨 상황 따라나 다 요거 말해서 다 가지고 다 뭐는 잡대 봐이나.
And so just by closing your eyes and thinking, oh, may there be no anger, so may there be love and compassion, those will not happen, right?
다 선로 땅 거를 다 단계라면 다 공로 세야 되게 좀 가르치기도 맞아 세야 되게 좀 가르치기도 자도 세야 좀 가르치기도 들고 다 끼어는 선로 땅 거를 해서 와.
And so now you have to use your mind to think about the disadvantages of the negative minds, like to think, what bad things happen if you get angry, what bad things happen if you get jealous, what bad things happen if you are proud, and so forth. So, so think about those the disadvantages of those minds.
뭐 든지 공로도 자도 사다대야 소소래 시행이 sem치가 된다. 나도 사기를 해서 와.
And that anger and jealousy actually usually comes by depending on other. I mean, it arises towards other than oneself.
나도 소소라 때문에 소소라 공로 사기도 해야 돼. 저 사기도 해.
You don't normally get angry towards yourself, right?
Sometimes I do that. But we can do some patience for us. We don't do very bad things for us. Oh yeah, I do wrong thing. Oh. 이나야, 다 나도 공조세도 망치에다 심지잖아. 내용을 와서 시찬해로 와.
So we normally have this anger towards other sentient beings, right?
다 든지에 봐서 다 든지가 공조대 많이 요라 당하동. 다 샹바서 지금에 가르치는 양만도 즉. 다 매로 빨고 그래서 와이나스.
So how do we reduce these negative minds such as anger, and how do we increase the positive mind, such as love.
좋아. 다직 수수근 셈베 셈진 초와 대두냐 이 차상. 내반도 받아 누가면도 봐 지버 지도래 상당으로 해서.
And so first you have to think that we are all same and wanting to have happiness and not wanting any sufferings.
좋아. 대골상 직다. 아니 지금 공로당 다 두주고야 님걸상 직당으로 해서 와.
And then also you have to think about the disadvantages of the anger.
아니 공로 사사가 이어지 셈체나 많이 있다고 그러나 소소나 찍었다 셈체나 다 이봐 이러 왔어.
And then also you have to think about the number of the sentient beings, those who you get angry. And so you have to compare. So oneself is just one, and others are infinite.
나라도 수 공로 다라 중에 셈체도 그나서야 다 말이 배 미시배 왕을 나도 공로 나게 그래서.
And also those who causes us to become angry towards them, they are also doing those things out of ignorance, out of not knowing.
나도 바 공로 사야 돼요. 나로 승리에서도 한 먹었는지 사게 그러왔어.
And similarly, we are also same in when we get angry towards others, we get because of not knowing about the reality or not or being in ignorance of the reality.
근데 다 노트에 있는 것도 네가 노트도 왔어. 지안아도 말아서 노트도 왔어.
And so if we are mistaken, then we are same in others and ourselves, right? So we both have the mistakes.
여기 보다 그래. 근데 맞아. 도저히 삼았다. 다 라다 제니 파 마녀시나 다 제마에다 다 너도 만소에서 다 마쇼를 판도로 왔어.
And so when we compare oneself and others, since the others are much more than oneself, so we have to be on the side of the more, right? So since we are more the democratic, so that we have to be more on the others, right? On the more side.
We are not communists, right? If you think always me, the others always we need to always others listen to whatever we want. They have to do for us. It's not a communist. 간제마지 다 수수 그런 거에는 다 몇십배, 30배 다 수수 된데 듣고 해서 당연히 다 마셔도 잘하고 왔어.
And so because whatever we need comes from others, so it's through depending on others that we get what we want. Therefore, we should be on the side of others, right?
근데 이제 딱 나서 가면 딱 마셔라야 마시고 따와 기는 딱 거면랑 자녀로 왔어.
And we all, are against the communist, right? Communism.
그러니까 뭐가는 거. 딱 마셔로 가면랑 자녀로 왔어. 근데 이제 딱 알아서 딱 마셔기 공부 제요 말해서 와.
And so therefore, we should not be the leader of the communist.
근데 가디나 지 수수를 젬베 셈체도 수수 배쳤다 이 샤지. 수수 강고야 돼. 콘도 딱 수수를 들고 하시지나. 아무도 마셔로 걸어왔어.
And so if we keep on thinking of ourselves more important than others, and wanting others to do what we want for ourselves, and so for them, we are actually we are practicing communism, right?
그래서 지금 예 라다 예니나 예게 마이다 다 예도 做제지 버려. 그지 맞지?
And so since others are more than oneself, therefore we should give more priority to others.
근데 제와이나 나랑 소리라 라다 예니 바로 예 지원들 로지 예와나 자샤 자 탐방을 줄 공부도 맞춘 거 그래서.
And so that way, if we think, if we try to think of others more than oneself, or cherish others more than oneself, then anger towards others will definitely be reduced.
대자샤지 되네 요나 딱 근데 직다 야무지 기모시와 맞지 바지 선택 기모시와 그래서.
And so if we are able to do that, then just like this honest life, we'll be able to laugh from the depth of our heart.
남소 지금 삼성직 샘 딩크 무시를 가고 나와야나야. 대도 투연 삼아지 깨자다고 시기로 제대로 와서.
So just like even though we don't like that person very much, but we pretend to be like smiling and laughing and talking nicely with that person, right?
this 근데
So that kind of smiling, laughing, and so forth is not a real laugh. It's a fake laugh, right?
It's fake. I think that's made in China. Maybe made in India.
So in India and China, they all make these fake things, and when there's the original thing, then they see that it's been very popular, then they make the similar to that, so the fake one, duplicate.
Oh, holiness smiles original, real smile. Our smile is fake smile. That's same thing. That same thing. That game show the culture, na. That round that je ni na di. That je chiba di logic kewa ina. That same thing na na so. Game show you to it.
So to laugh from the depth of our heart, if we think of others more than oneself, cherish others more than oneself, then we'll be able to laugh from the depth of our hearts.
근데 요한은 나도 제가 컨트롤 용도로 그래. 저도 용도로 그랬어. 맞아 용도로 그랬어. 가는 셈 코는 다 randa신 이제 지워졌는 거 왔어.
So if that happens, then there will be less anger, less pride, less jealousy, and so forth, because the mind, is cherishing others more than oneself.
근데 randa신이 연 좋은 물로지 와 있네. 아니 샴바세다. 다 뜻을 다 슈처링 거래서 와.
And so if we have that mind, which cherishes others more than oneself, then the affections, the love, and compassion will come very naturally.
대손을 삼아라지. 그대는 것도 제가 요구주된 거잖아.
So when we're cherishing others, that doesn't mean that we have to be servant to others all the time.
아니 지금 소소치 여대면대 차상치 현재 저걸 그렇게 잘 말해서 와.
Also, it doesn't mean that you have to give everything you have to others.
We don't have to enough to give others too much. 근데 but that same thing 되네. 다 소소나치 대화 되받아 누가 먼저 취소해 봐야자. 다 지금 코로나로 때 관계로 되나 코로나 소양 지금 말이 봐 미시고 제기도 다 이제 코로나 소양 미시고 거래. 다 나나시 대화도 봐 누가 먼저 취소했는데 이제 코로나 상담하는 갈래 채고.
And so we have to think, the others. When they show anger or jealousy and so forth, then you should think that they are doing it out of ignorance. They are not. They don't know what they're doing. They're doing it out of ignorance. They're all. I and they are all same in wanting happiness and not wanting any softness. And so by thinking like that, then slowly, you should work against the anger.
삼성야 대직하는 공로고 신이야 진배들 들어가요래서 와. 대용세계에는 대양 남중한도 공로다 있다. 내가 가가로 그래서 와.
And sometimes, because of being in a particular time and getting angry at that time can help somebody to avoid doing things that are bad and so forth. So that kind of anger is not the same as the anger that we're talking about here.
배나 아마데 부을 수수 부을라 제가 쇼행에 대 부을거나 공로사에 여러 왔어.
So, for example, a mother who has so much affection and love towards her child can get angry towards child, right?
근데 공로사에 대 부게 있다. 남과 야포주 남과 노전로에나 남과 야포들 구역 제 아마 공로사에로 왔어.
And so that kind of anger is because the child is going in the wrong way, and so in order to bring him or her towards the right way, then she gets angry, right?
근데 대라 지근우 이제 딱 이제 뭐 샴바당 딱 대지근우 공로를 해서.
And so that kind of the instance, where you get angry to bring somebody towards a good path. So of course the causal motivation for that is love, but the occasional, the motivation at that time, is the anger.
아니 나라서 직다 수수직 마가들 공로사에 대 다 말씀 제가 그래서 거기 야보지 공도 짜지에서.
And so since she's getting angry towards the child, to bring him to the right path, so that's in a good, with a good thought, right? But when we get angry towards others, we do it with the ill will, anger, also the ill will, wanting to cause harm to others. And so even though they are same being anger, but they function in different ways, right?
I don't know, this country, their moms anger their kids. Even in Tibetan, I was in normal area, their mom, they're angry, they beat, they beat, the kids. But there's no police, no problem.
No, please.
Even here, maybe their parents beat their kids, and parents have to go to police. Yeah, not the conyos, and they, the Pugula, Yadarotonata, Pawama, Junkan.
And so I heard that here, if the parents beat children, then they might go to prison, right? So personally, I don't like that. I don't support that. So when the parents punish the kid or beat the kid, it's not because he wants to harm or she wants to harm the kid, right? It's because doing that in order to teach a good manner to the child.
Today we can talk, no kids here. If kids here, then they mind me. Today, by the way, another thing, kanji maji, nandu chama, supugela kondo savada, marasu, magada kondo san, dragma doas, they are nuraya marsa.
And so again, parents getting angry towards the child, and we, getting angry towards somebody who we don't like. It's a different anger, right?
Today, but 다 알아서 수술 막아서 drawola kondo saga, tinji kondo to ngarasu julayona. 다 추수 뉴스산지 섭시나 가디 여나 tinji kondo to ngarasu julayona. ngarasu 지워요 말해서.
And so, so if we have that kind of anger, wanting to cause harm to others at any time of the day, then we will not be happy.
tinji kondo to 많이 누를 같이 따오나 다 당기 라비 마스.
And so how do we reduce that kind of anger? It's just like I said earlier, by thinking about the disadvantages of anger, you should reduce the angers. And so by thinking about the disadvantages of anger, if one can reduce the anger, then one will be able to bring peace within oneself, in one's family, in one's neighborhood, one's city, country, and so forth.
Even you think always, I, you never be happy. For example, in just our country, I don't know, United States, they want, I'm the boss, I'm the world boss, They don't want to do other countries to do anything. Now all countries look as enemy for United States. But they are against. Because US says, I don't know, maybe
so within that also who are doing that.
I'm the United States. All the world's boss. We have to listen us. Anytime.
And so by doing that, you increase more and more enemies.
It's very similar. Just by eyes, I'm best one. I'm always the Europe. More enemies coming. Not just you, all us. Include me, okay? I'm not selfish. That's so to the thing. I said they not down to what
so anyway, so mostly it comes from thinking of I. So you should try to reduce that thought of thinking only about oneself.
대만 연어치들 당길라베 바스 다 심지제 토와데도 양이 차가 나도 치파이스 대바데바 동만데 치파이스나 아니 나나래 뜻만 용으로 다 답시는 거.
And so if you think of the point that I mentioned earlier, thinking that oneself and all others are same in wanting happiness and wanting suffering. So if you think about that, then you will be thinking less about oneself alone.
What is that? Today, somewhere, and with the Ama Koran Shidichi, Koran Sambaya, semia pusu topo never and
so if you have that thought, then you have more peace in your mind and you will not have so much stress.
Nanzo 단다치 강에로 때 들어가는 것도 코로 사초실로 용도 왔어. 저도 용도 왔어.
And so right now, if we think, even if we encounter a very small thing, it's very easy for us to get angry towards that, right?
저도 용도 왔어. 저도 냠녀로 외웠어. 강에로 때 들어가는 것도 코로 사초실도 왔어.
So do you have that experience? You are very easy to or ready to burst. Anger is easy to burst, even with small or simple incidents.
I don't know you guys. I have this experience. I'm very short-tempered. Today, today, 그래. 코로로부터 사대와이나 코로 사이드 니코 열어야지. 바지 니코 말하는 거. 코로 사대 니코 바지까지 가버려.
And so while getting angry, while you are angry, it's not easy to fall asleep, right?
If we are very angry, we can sleep. 사실 야무나 다 샘도 치 따님으로 오시. 야무나 치 다지 샴바 세베 샘으로 오시. 그리고 코로 사기 되겠다 니 그사를 가오래서.
So either you you bring the mind in neutral state, or towards love and compassion. Otherwise, while getting angry, it is not possible to fall asleep.
You have to change the object thinking, then you fall asleep. 그래서 가지 고무로 늘었다 탐치 쪼디 고무로기 님 상담 다 개좀 잘해서.
And so anyway, the best method to bring down the anger is to think about the disadvantages of anger.
근데 고무로 늘었다나 수수결하지 샴바다 뜻음도 yap지 거래. 대 랍데 근데 제대로 가서 남이 주제고만 남바이고 말해서.
So if you think about, if you reduce the anger, then your love and compassion will increase. So that doing that is not only necessary for for a Buddhist. This is something that has to be done by all of us.
관심 많소 거야 좋가랬다. 샘 시대고라. 아주 강가라 거야. 샘 시대고도 왔어.
And so anyway, what we want, is a peaceful mind, right?
아주 쇼케네 군다바 죽대됐다 시대 용어체 들어와서 강에 마음이 들어 들어왔어.
So everything that we do in the whole day, like morning to night, running around, is to bring happiness and to not have any sufferings, right?
Right. We have to go every day walk. Why? We don't want to any problems. 시간이 가서 내가 채울 다 내가 뭐지 다 나다 시대고 다 되는 당 또라고 말해서 와.
Of course, we have to walk. If you just sit there thinking that I want to have peace and happiness, then you will not even find the food.
We have to go walk, but think about force and anger is very important. Today, by the children, 다 대화에다 대화해야 돼. 제가 깨어나는 용거. 다 가지고 콘남 밥을 말해서 와. 시대에서 돼.
So what we want to have, is the peace and happiness, and peace and happiness doesn't fall from the sky. It has to create a cause and condition for that.
아니 문제가 강에서 했다. 제가 깨어나는 용거. 그래서 와.
Similarly, the unwanted suffering also comes, from causes and conditions.
문제에서 대용하게 제때 막 까버려서 다 강에 용 제때 막 까.
So you have to stop that cause and condition, which brings which brings sufferings.
배차로 오시는 거. 다 지금 일보당 지금 다 신기부가 지금 시대에서만 다 대화용하로 지금 다 강바당 지금 배조당 그래서 다 나도 지금 대화 저기 계좌를 와서 들어오죠.
So normally, we think that external things will give us happiness, like the house, the food, clothes, and so forth, right? So those things will give us happiness.
방금도 지나고 들려다 다 생고 시대다야 다 제일 때는 용거 그래서 와.
And so that's what we said. And also, the peace of the mind has to come from the cause and condition as well.
그래서 다 조조 다 말업체죠 말해서 그래서 말업체나 디근 레벨라 다 강의 용거래서.
So mainly we should not, engage in bad manners or conducts, And if we do that, then that will bring us sufferings and problems.
말없어야 가르친다. semje yela neagi shavatla marabsirwa.
And so anything that any bad conduct is, the bad things, anything that you do to cause harm to others.
내가 들리듯이도 마양 가서 소토가 맞다. 강 툭툭스요. 강 툭툭이 쳐버려.
So of course we're not able to stop it right away, everything, but we should try as much as possible.
그냥 가서 갈아이 사거리 공부해 보래. 차상 채워서 다 소소래 지하게 심백이 생기나 천이 마야 니 슈저스는 만내야게 지샤와 봐지 다가도 제통 말했어. 내가 알아서
So of course we have to eat, we have to live, wear clothes and so forth. So by doing that indirectly, we're causing some harm to others. So it is not possible for us to not cause harm at all towards others, directly or indirectly. But at least we should try to prevent as much as possible causing harms to others directly.
이나야 다치 대치 수치야 되지. 다 소소는 생 소소를 예면 뭐다 semje 잡아서 지 마음이 유샤하는 거지. 소소 배제도 아니 자샤로 거지. 제나 아니 나도 다 야고 말해서.
And so also thinking of others as something that we can take advantage of, use for our own benefit and so forth. So thinking like that is not good.
관심 맞지. 바와 아메가 다 볼로 딱 말아. 삼삼 컨트롤 사이에 삼삼 자리자는 딱로 딱 말아. 되려고 그랬어.
So the parents, so they will not give up on their children, right? Sometimes of course they will fight, they will get angry, but they will never give up. So that's what we should be like.
Maybe some very bad kids, maybe the parents give up. Maybe very bad kids, maybe they give parents. Most not. But the little 수소 지엠에 semje 차상치 다 대만들가 등한만들가 진송연스 다 권한소치 권로 사이나 다 이제 권소 마시고 온 거래. 권소 나라 권로 때마다 권소 마시고 온 거래. 나 권로 사이다 나랑 위에서 마시고 온 거래서 들로 삼다나 직다 생각시 대 많이 거래서 봐.
And so basically think of others and oneself as same, being same in wanting to have happiness and not wanting any sufferings. And they think when they get angry towards with that, getting angry out of not knowing, out of ignorance. And when I get angry towards also is out of not knowing and out of ignorance. So we are all same.
되게 받았지. 나도 나와야지. 나도 따뜻지. 노릇하고 깔래고도 그 땅도 깔래고 왔는데 저도 싫는 건데 같이 가면 매매 나다지. 딱 노릇하고 그랬어. 힘바이나. 또 그래야 돼. 같이 세심세하다. 샤바세 듣기 좀 그래 들어와.
So if you do that, then there will be peace, happiness in your mind. So in Buddhism, we talk in depth about the view, the correct view, and so forth. So that is kind of complicated at the beginning stage. Like you might have heard such things like when you recite the Heart Sutra, where it says there's no form, no feeling, and so forth. So those are very complicated. It's more profound, so it's not easy to understand. But anyway, the main thing is that it is important to have love, compassion, and not have anger, jealousy, and so forth towards others.
But the views, they look very confused. They look very something was. 딱 모욕사고 그랬어. 다 따위 거네시면 다 모욕사고 대가서 이 집이 거야 말해. 거야 또 돼. 다 소주가 생기셔 가지고 이렇게 좀 해서.
So like I said, the view is very profound and confusing at the beginning stage. But so it's a little bit too profound for the beginning stage. So right now, the most important thing is to have love and compassion.
이나 대다 이게 마트마치 시와 하고 말해서 디와다도 말했어. 대삼로 다 이제 꼴을 셔셔게 뎁스 로를 해서.
And so that kind of love and compassion cannot be generated just by listening or listening once, or my speaking once, or you are listening once. You have to contemplate on that, and you have to meditate, get familiarize yourself with that thought again and again by contemplating on it, or by reading books and listening to the teachings and so forth.
관심 많지. 돈도 돈도 지내 수수 캡상 가와로는 캠은 레오로 왔어.
And so there is a gain, if you do that. So wherever you can gain, that's good, right? So wherever you can have a profit or gain, and you should try to achieve that.
아주 가가 캠상 많이 수주에 말하고 왔어.
So there isn't any of us who don't want the profit, right?
아주 가디나 총관으로 하는데 너 다대 요대 캠상이라고 좀 저기 그러고 왔어.
So when we go to the convenience stores and buy those scratch tickets, we do that thinking that we'll gain something, right?
그래서 진짜 남배가 됐더니 말로 이제 저 나라 친구도 샘 캠상 해야겠다. 로제만 보이랬던도 아주 로제는 야보셔야겠어.
And also just by reading the Buddhist scriptures, the Dharma books and so forth, if you can gain some benefits from that, then it's good to do that, right?
삼삼 다 민까지 다 주는 게 내가 그래서 지금 남배 데블로하다 지금 남배 주소 영사하다 남아 차로 해서 몇 가지들 저기도 했던데 말하고 왔어.
And some people think that they have to be Buddhist just by reading, if they read Buddhist books or if they go to the Buddhist temples and so forth, right? But it's not like that.
제가 되게 말하는데 수수 캠상 가와나 캠을 내가 그랬어요.
It's not like that. So if you can gain something, you should try that from anywhere you can.
어떤데다 된다고 그랬던데 지금 쌈로 땅 내가 좀 메시지를 접토고 말해서 깔리 가오시라 나서 다 가대도 로자나 죽토서 시라 깔리 가오르서 이나 다다 메시지를 깔리잖아 다 나서 다 남바로 이만나 다 제와시마서 캐는 그래 근데 제와시마 야야야야 들어와.
And so it takes a long time to achieve all these things. Maybe it's not possible to achieve in this lifetime the everlasting happiness and so forth. But you should create a cause as much as possible in this life. And as a Buddhist, we believe in future lives. So if you create a cause in this life, then you meet with the condition in the next life, and then you'll be able to create even more causes, and then more and more. So from life to life you go and become better and better, and then eventually you achieve that everlasting, the state of everlasting happiness.
그냥 말아서 다 리타이먼트 전에 다 지워지는 렐레지는 빼줘 갈 강에면 대학에 두세대 영화라 팅야라 지 랍타란도 로종치 디 로종 타르션 근데 레갈로 마보체 칼 뭐 잡고 도와서
just like if you want to have that the retirement benefits or pension, then you have to work hard for that. Right? So first you have to when you're young, you in school, you study very hard, and then you get a job, you work for many years. Then after working for many years, then you get the retirement.
내가 대학 야보체 메트릭스 야보지 하면은 리타이먼트 가서 누나가 싫어 가진 다마다 제일 무서워서.
So if you haven't worked enough or haven't filed enough tax, then you won't be able to have much benefit, right? So maybe barely enough.
그래서 가래 해봐야 나지. 다 지금 수수지 내치세가 되는 영화 다 저렇게는 영화가 왔어.
So anyway, so any kind of happiness or peace has to come from cause and condition.
어떤데서 다 드링아도 랍게서 되다 공로 갈 맞추기로 해서 와.
So what we are trying to achieve today is to see the disadvantages of the anger and try to reduce it as much as possible.
아니 공로 되다가도 까먹으려고 차대. 근데 다 처음 하더니 다 고마시 가르가르 시간으로 그래. 다 철부사야 돼. 공로기 예민성 다 하면서 와.
And so you pour water on it to wash it away or rinse it away. So by thinking about the disadvantages of the anger.
다 듣는다고 다 지들이 모두 시에 듣는다고 있을 때는 지금도 들어가나 모두 들어가는 거 듣나요? 좀더 써서 모두 지 세우는 하는데 용식을 해서 와.
And so that's about it for today, about this talk. And if you have any questions, maybe you can ask questions, and that might clarify things a little better.
Otherwise, I talk, you guys bored. Okay?
So you can ask any questions.
if I know, I'll give you answer. If I don't know, I say sorry. then means not answer. I know everything. No questions? Okay. Yeah, it's okay.
In terms of anger, I know for myself when I have anger, if I see injustice, I feel anger. Is it the same as when you see children, you need to discipline them? Sometimes I feel I try to discipline adults like you discipline children. But I feel angry because I think I'm righteous, but I'm not.
콘도서 그렇게 보러 믿어서 따다 맞춰봐라. 그냥 고라니 제일 따다 말해서 콘도서 해줘라. 이 콘도서 그냥 보고 줘라. 보고라 되니까 이제 야구수 해주고 콘도서 집어라 그랬어. 네, 나도 또 보고라 가서 지금 딜람소나 되는 미개발라 딜람소 다시 집어라 그랬어.
대말 대 자세 잘 봐라. 나도 콘도서 해야 돼. 뭐 파츠게 소소가 따다 맞는 것도 콘도서 해서. 콘도서 해서 데려와서. 야만도 소소 나야 되고 많이 맞지. 양도 소소 오로트에 그 맞춰가지.
뭐 그런서 있어요. 그런서 따다 맞아야지. 서로 그런 거처럼 그런처럼 맞다. 내처럼도 따다 맞는 시가 말해. 내 라바도 많이 쓰고 말해. 그런 게 지어야 되더라도 그냥 미치도 동거는 거의 거기에 따다 말아. 미친도 좀 동거 따다 말아. 내가 미드 도자식으로 그 미친도 동거도 콘도서 해줘라. 어디 콘도서. 디콘도 쓰고.
아니 일단 미디어 보면 됐어. 그거 늦어지면 됐어.
그래서 나도 도자식 그래서 콘도 누구도 나서죠. 그냥 근데 팀 따다 맞기는 해요.
대단 나와도 자 이놈이 가시 나다. 내성을 끊는 것도 말했어. 그거 누가 돼? 다 코나 따님 관사지, 바주와 따님 관사지. 다그 누수 야보면 더 하세. 근데 그 직진아 장기 제가 닌가라 지 누가면 더 봐나 지 강이면 더 봐면 진성이 배짱이 로지에 다 좋았어. 그래서 다 바베가 아마 대 나시도 여기 맨날 내가 다 지도만으로 작업했어.
Yeah, I think I would say it is similar to that anger the parents have towards the child. Like I said, the angry when we get angry towards others because they don't do the things that we want them to do for us, or they don't or because we want to cause harm to them and so forth. So that kind of anger because that person is unjust. So if you think like that, he's not doing the right thing. He's breaking the law or he's beating others and so forth. Therefore, he's not. I mean, that anger, you're not expecting anything from, for yourself. You're just thinking that it's not, it's not good. But yeah, and so in a similar way, it's similar to the anger towards the mother or father have towards the child. I think so. But, others might have different thought. So it's not, you're not thinking about yourself, your own benefits, and you're thinking about others also, right? So other person who is being unjust to others, the one who is receiving. So therefore, it's kind of the equal mind. So just like me, that person don't want to be unhappy, and so why is this person causing unhappy to that person also? So it's like thinking of in the same way. So even that kind of anger is still not so good, and I'm not saying that it is right for parents, to be angry towards the child and beat them and so forth. It's not right. I'm not saying that's right, but that's not the same kind of anger that we, normally think of anger as. So I'm not saying that there is this anger that you can get, you can generate, there's this anger you should not generate. I'm not saying that. In general, anger is not good. This is not the right solution. If that is right, then they will be happy, but they will not be happy, right? The parents, when they are angry towards the child, even though it was the thought to bring them to the right path, still, parents will not be happy, right, when they get angry.
Okay.
You can discipline a child or an adult without feeling angry. I mean, if you're doing it because you love the person or because you have compassion, you're not going to feel angry when you're telling your child, no, you can't have French fries for dinner, you can do that without feeling angry. I mean, I don't get the connection between anger and discipline. I don't really get that. Because if you...
Yeah, of course, it's not necessary, to be angry to discipline somebody. You can discipline somebody in a nice way, peaceful way, by giving a good advice, by smiling at them. So you can advise them. You can discipline in that way, so you don't have to be angry. So.
I think if you're doing it out of anger, it's something else. It's not discipline. It's just expressing your frustration.
그럼 다 건도공도 제거했는데 건도공도 다 바이드 딜람 피아서 두 말았어. 내 소소기 때문에 걸어 땡겨 버렸어. 바졸 딜람 피아서 오여 버렸어.
대다 바졸 공도 야고 가지 나도 공도 사서 왔어. 사기 왔어. 물론 야고 마카와 인자 와서 공도 사기 왔어. 공도 상이 됐다. 공도 상이 됐다.
Yeah, so I mean, you can get angry and then shout at them, to beg them to do the things in that way. So you can go that way, but it doesn't mean that you have to become angry to discipline them, to make them go in the right way. You don't have to do that, but yeah, sometimes by shouting at them, they will do the right thing. So in a way, you are disciplined.
Because I do shout at my child, but I don't think that's good discipline. I think that's wrong. I think that's anger. And I don't think it's helpful. I think discipline is more when you're being loving and compassionate and doing it calmly. I think when you shout, it's not. I don't think that's good discipline.
No, of course, it's not. That is not the ultimate way. Of course, ultimate way will be the love and compassion, just like the Buddhas do. But normal beings don't have that at the beginning stage. We don't have that kind of love and compassion to be able to discipline others. And so we use whatever means we have, and temporarily that helps. And temporarily shouting at the child and beating the child, the child to stop from doing the wrong things. Temporarily, yeah. But no, ultimately, yes, right, you're right. You have to have love and compassion. So the thing was, like when you get angry towards somebody because you want to cause harm to that person, or you get angry towards that person because you want to have that person to be, to go in the right way. So that kind of anger are different. That's what I'm trying to say. And so of course, if possible, we should try the love and compassion means to discipline them. But if they don't listen, then sometimes you can beat them. It's okay.
No, don't be okay. 너 배를 수라는다 바와면 보고 얘라도 그다 미스팅 맞어. 그게 팅 맞어. 아니 보게 양 바와면 얘라도 같이 누자져서 좀 쓰면 그 루스버 요 맞어.
So in Tibet they say, keep the love in the heart and hand on their face. So anyway, so that's Tibetan's way. So when they beat the child, and the child don't get angry towards parents. They know they have done wrong, and they're getting beat because they did wrong, so they should not do this wrong. That's what they listen. That's how they feel. Parents don't feel bad to beat them, and the children don't get angry towards the parents for receiving the beating. So that's the cultural difference.
No TV.
No TV. 그래 culture는 아주 배경이 지금 다 대성하고 있는 나 알아 Tibetan also. 나도 다 맞추 가면은 지 디가면은 바와 아미 뿌야 치모잖아. 바와 아마타 쇠 이와로. 바와 뿌이야 바와 마치 이와 이와로 그러지. 고카가 뭐야 지금 선문지도 요 말이죠.
So again, this is culturally, like Tibetans, they think of their children as, someone that they will look after the parents. The parents, they think that the children will look after them, and then children also think, oh, it's my duty to look after my parents.
나 바와 주중가 이다 두쳐져서 나 가면 파지다 이 시그마스. 뭐야 다 대하고 있어요.
Maybe it is nearly possible, but mostly not. That there will be such a case where the child will say, "Oh, my parents were beating me so much, so I will not look after them. I will not take care of them." They will not say like that.
근데 이제 바와 아마 경호준에 계속 가서 주사요 말이야. 주야 루소요 말.
So they look after their parents until they die. Of course, there's no system of an old folks home in Tibet, so where you can just a nursing home where you can just have your parents live there and so forth. It's not like that, but anyway, they don't do that at all.
그 일반들은 그냥 괜찮아. 나시오면 돼. 내가는 소소 집은 제대로 보고도 저도 집다 가면 내가 공부하면 누워서 지당해.
And so, but here it's different, right? So when you get old, you go to those old folks' home or nursing homes, and if you're admitted to the hospital, then you'll be in the hospital by yourself. Nobody comes to see you and so forth. And of course, there's an excuse because everybody's busy. They have to go to work, so they don't have time to spend, being with you in the hospital and so forth.
And maybe the parents are very rich. Maybe the kids come back. 아시다 간제에 따라서 수준조건 넣으면 들어와서 로조건 넣으면 들어와.
So yeah, so there's a difference in the way we do because of different culture.
간제 맞지. 나도 주주가 나쁘다 바보다 내가 뭐 알아서 들어와. 내가 누가 나도 이거 누가 개뜨기 말 들어와.
So I'm talking from my experience because I've received some beatings from my parents, and we don't regard that as bad.
Sometimes the parents kick out at the night time. You sleep outside.
Right.
Outside at night time.
Yeah.
Wow.
One time I went to, Zuglagar, shepherd.
Shepherd.
I was shepherd. I lost one, yak. I would come back, then my father kick on me. Kick on me.
Kick me out.
Kick me out.
Yeah.
And I sleep the
Out of the
house.
house.
Out
Out of the house.
of the house.
Mm-hmm.
And night time, I don't know where I go. I cannot find. And I sleep the outside, inside the tree. But he just not needed it. And I see that. I see she move away. She was needed it. I was sleeping
Under tree.
under tree. But next day, father is worried. He looking for me. The Tibetan culture, sometimes they kick out and they come in, Parents doesn't care, if they do wrong thing, kids wrong thing. They doesn't do 100%.
Mm.
I don't know, maybe here, some kids, I met some kids there. We talk about Tibetan Buddhism also. We say our father also kind of usually we talk about mom. Mom's very kind.
Mm.
One girl I met him, she said, my mom's terrible. I don't like her. I cannot think about it. She's very kind for me. She did very bad things. I was child. But they still their mind. 그러니까 고주선 야대도 왔어. 그러니까 아무 또 저저 사실. 맞아. 배우면서 딱 그런 루스를 어떻게 민도스까지 하고 있어.
So yeah, they keep in their mind, this. They hold to that grudge, that they had when their parents did something bad to them, or beat them, and so forth. But in Tibetan tradition or culture, we don't hold that kind of grudges. We receive the beating, but we forget the next day. So
This is a different culture. Whatever they do, they do. Okay? Yeah.
Yeah, just wondering too, I appreciate the cultural differences, of course, but I think there are some similarities too. I teach, and so it's rare that I would ever let's say, display heavy anger towards students, but there are moments when you don't have a lot of time, or if, depending on the severity of the situation, that a very quick whoop, can sometimes neutralize something, as long as it's a good intention.
Yeah.
Ultimately, I don't know, maybe I'm, but
말 몰라서 다 저기 아까는 콘도스 아니라 예전에 독자인 거 말해서 왔다 뭐라 얘기를 뭐 어떤 부서를 납료했어. 아까는 콘도 테스트 때문에 되게 되는데 여기다 상와 지고 알았어. 단 내가 여러 상교 하다 콘도 때문에 그 내가 또 이제 제하지고 뭐라고 상관이 됐을 것 같아.
대 용서되는 대갑처럼 선배님도 했어.
But as a result, how do you find that? And when you express that anger, like
I myself feel awful
Yeah.
afterwards. You know,
So
I
do-
regret it.
대대에서 코로나 선도 쳐야 된다. 같이 코로나는 끼워요 말했어 봐.
so yeah, I mean that's what like I mentioned earlier. The parents will beat the child, but the parents will not be happy, or they're angry. So it's similar to that.
Maybe the kids also doesn't unhappy. The teacher shows angry.
Yeah.
They feel, sometimes anger will be fixed, but not a good way. Okay? Yeah.
Geshe, can you explain if there's a difference when I see someone breaking the law, committing an injustice? If I get angry at them because I feel compassion towards their victim, or if I get angry at them because I feel compassion that they're committing a negative act and creating non-virtue and bad karma. And I feel bad for them because I know it's going to lead to a negative rebirth for them. So is there a difference in those two angers if my compassion is toward the victim or the perpetrator?
콘도스가 그러면 미 너버 제사잖아. 너버 제사되다. 너버 쟁이니야. 너버 제사되다. 너버 제사는 콘도스나 디고르기. 아면 너버 제사되다. 너버 쟁이되다. 콜라 콘도스다. 그 제도다가 좀 봐서 너버 쟁이되는 제만한테 제마 코란데 동안 연결했어요. 닌제 돈에 지금 콘도스 해줘라. 어떤 얘기 해봤는데 그랬어.
그래 다저 이제 내 코로나 나다 가서 코 두자두자 말아봤어. 간지 낯선 거 거는 제가 말아봤어. 다코 이제 코 시간도 코 콜은 내가 계속 다 코로티 이제부터 양가리에서 쭉 스톱 제가 답이 나오잖아. 내가 약 말아봤어.
들으지는 콘도스 아니에요.
근데 코로나에 가서 코로나 저 시대 가서 주도 제가 말아봤어. 코코나 코치는 맞지.
So you meant to say that you get angry towards someone who's causing harm to others because you have compassion towards them?
Well, I manifest anger. I show anger because I feel compassion. I feel compassion.
But you don't have anger. You're just showing it. You're
I
pretending
act.
you're
I
angry.
act in a way that seems angry.
So, but that's not real anger.
True.
Yeah, okay. then 코너 사요. 코너다 지금 zu마 된 것 같다.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe you don't have this anger. If somebody do this person that bad, if you have very strong compassion, if you have very strong compassion, Sarah and what was it?
Eileen.
Yeah, Eileen. You have very strong compassion. You think, oh, they both equal. They don't want to any sufferings. They want to happiness. If Sarah do bad things to her, then you angry Sarah because she did bad to her. But you have very strong compassion. You say, oh, she did wrong. Because that's it. Okay.
Yeah.
간시 지나가 섬진다 따마 집어요 이나 이제 이까지 이제 침보요 와나 다 지지라 내지나 아니 지나가 뒤 내와다 제가 당시 때는 지금 다 코로나 때문에 다 그런 이제 그래 그런 이제 다 그래서 대지 그런 거로 쳐서 다 지금 이제 그래서
그 지금 맞잖아요, 삼바.
맞잖아 삼바데 그러나 지나가 이까지다 따마 집어지잖아 왔어
다들 코너스 그러고 코너스 뭐 같아요.
코로나
이제 삼비.
다 쌈돼야 가지 답신도 쳐야 된다 대지 그런 거로 쳐서 왔어
If you have compassion, a feeling, same towards Sarah and Eileen, and see Sarah harming Eileen, and then you get angry towards Sarah, oh, that I wish she didn't do that, and so forth. So And then you discipline Sarah by slapping her on her face. Just kidding. That was me.
You understand? He said slap.
Trying to look for every way to tease Sarah. So anyway, so if you think that, and then so you get angry towards Sarah and you say something to her and so forth, so to not to cause harm to Eileen, and the manifesting the appearance is the anger, but the motivation at the back is compassion. That's what Geshe was saying. So the causal motivation is compassion, but at that time, temporarily at that time, you're acting in anger. So the condition for that is anger.
For example, you don't like Sarah. You have to make Sarah, unhappy, bad things in the talk. This motivation is not simple.
So that motivation, is the ill will. So therefore, the motivation, the causal motivation, is different there. Yeah, of course, it's not good either way. Either kind of anger is not good, but there's a difference in those kind of angers.
If you have to anger, you can anger that kind.
And so, of course, these are both anger, and both types of angers are not good. But if you compare them, then that kind of anger is better than the regular anger. So, if you want to get angry, then you should get angry that way to benefit others. Getting angry to benefit others.
But if you want that kind of angry, you have to develop compassion.
Yeah.
If you don't have compassion, never angry that kind of angry for animals. What's enemies. Maybe you can angry your partners, maybe kids, but you never angry your enemy because you think enemy is my enemy is a bad person. I want to hit him. You don't have this motivation. Okay?
Thank you.
Then any questions?
Yeah. In a monastery setting like Sarah, do they have definitions for anger? Is there like a definition in the Buddhist way for anger? And that's one question. Second question is, did you ever lose a yak after that?
What is it?
After you get kicked out.
After you got punished, did you lose a yak?
Did you ever find
After being punished, being thrown off your house for the night, did you ever lose a yak after that?
No, we found yak go to some other family's house.
You found it.
We found.
대단하게 야들 라주네 되는 거랑게다 바오처럼 단 야바당어라 다들 라 주네 된 야바당어라 다들 야바들 쿠네 된 제만에 따당할 되는 야바다 다들 야들 라주면 삼성들 총사스
Yeah, we have taught, Of course. If we lost, the parents kick out in a bit. I have this.
You understood that answer? Yes, so after that he got the lesson. And then he made sure that he never lose yak again.
Yes, more easy. Ships very difficult.
Yeah.
Ships go to many families together, then very difficult, they go each other's
To distinguish.
very difficult. Yaks, no problem, very easy.
So you have to really be messing up.
Sometimes the lazy yaks, they stay in the other place, they don't want to come all together, then we lost.
그래서 뭐 나왔더니 벌써 콘도가 천일 가르쳐 버렸어.
콘도 천일.
콘도가 천일이잖아. 뭐 가르쳐 버렸어.
콘도 세트다 이제 그래 그러죠. 마가빈 샘지도 마가빈 생각이더라. 시즌 마가빈 생각.
So the anger, the definition of anger is not liking it. Not liking. So when you get too angry towards somebody, you don't like that person or that person's behavior and so forth.
Then there are two different, because they're different motivation. Because you angry your enemy because you doesn't like their actions. Whatever they do, you don't like. Even maybe they say something you don't like. Maybe they show something you don't like, then you are angry in mind. Then I told the kids, maybe parents, kids. Kids do something the parents doesn't like that. They have to do not change their way. Can't touch.
So you have the mind not liking it, not liking something that other person do or say and so forth.
But I didn't say any text there and there's definition. Okay?
Okay.
Yeah. Okay? Everybody, no questions? That told me nothing on Shas.
Yeah, so okay, we'll stop here then. So whatever I spoke, if you think it makes sense, then think about it.
If not makes sense, just forget. Listen this year, forget this year.
I'd never beat my child.
Talk to my mother.
So again, keep on reading or listening to these kind of talks again and again, and then think about it. Then maybe you get more understanding about it.
Also, if you very new study Buddhism, there are Lama Zobar Miche, Lama Rishi, there are many books. They're all free. You can check, read, think. What did that talk about? And
so you can compare your mind with the teaching in those books.
Then if you have some questions, doubts, you come back again, you can ask me. Then if I know, I'll give you the answer. If I don't know, I say, I don't know, sorry. But you have to study, it's very important. Just use her one time, nothing fixed, nothing changed, Study again, thinking again. If you study Buddhism book, texts, not necessary to become Buddhism, I told you,
So wherever you can get a profit from, you should try to get that.
But everybody like to that. Okay? Thank you very much.